The next session for this plenary session 6 is from the Lothar Pirc, founder and CEO of Maharshi Ayurveda Health Center, Badems, Germany. The topic of his talk is Proposal to Create Peace in the World through the Ancient Vedic Sciences of Ayurveda, Yoga and Yagya, from Physiology to Science. Dr. Lothar ji, please.
It's a very great joy. I have been looking forward for this moment to present tonight something that people usually don't associate with Ayurveda so much. People think about herbs, people think about Panchakarma, but collective health is also part of Ayurveda. And my topic today is the proposal to create world peace for the ancient sciences of Ayurveda, Yoga and Yagya. And the subtitle is From Philosophy to Science. Before I start, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have been invited by the state government of Rheinland-Pfalz in Germany 32 years ago to establish in the former palace of the emperor a Maharshi Ayurveda Health Center. We started small with about 9 staff members. We have grown to over 90, and it's a very great pleasure, I must say, to have witnessed. We have treated more than 30,000 patients in Panchakarma, and we have seen so beautiful curative results that it inspired us to go for expansion. And I want to give credit to India, the Vedic masters, our holy tradition of Vedic masters, and to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who have cognized the Ayurveda and revived it in its completeness again. And when we hear about Ayurveda having explained Veda, one of the explains Ayush is a continuum of consciousness. And being alive, being connected to the source of life, as it is stated in Charaka Samhita. Atma is unmanifest, the knower of all creation, eternal, universal, and indestructible. This is really the source of the whole thing. And the aim is to live in happiness, and all the activities are aimed for happiness and comfort. And there is no happiness in the Vedic scriptures, it's stated, without Dharma. Hence, one should follow the path of Dharma, which means the life in accordance with natural law. Now, when we consider collective health, we have wars in different parts of the world, and we have looked into the ancient scriptures of Ayurveda, and we could find in Charaka, for example, that when the Dharma, the natural duty, the natural law, is lost, then the Pragya-Parat comes, the mistake of the intellect, and for the constant violation of natural law, the rulers, they don't treat the subordinates well. The people act in adharma, not in accordance with Dharma. And when Dharma, natural law, declines, then the rains don't come on time, the weather patterns become imbalanced. This is what we see now. And Adharma causes abnormality in the earth, in the water, in the drugs based on the ground of the water. They lose their efficacy, and the result is collective suffering and destruction. Similarly, violation of natural law, adharma, is at the root of wars. Because of increased greed, anger, and ego, some people may start fighting amongst themselves with killer intentions or start to fight with the enemy. They may attack the enemy or they get attacked by the enemy. Now, when we look how can this problem be solved, we have looked into the ancient scriptures of yoga, and all of us who are here know the connection between yoga and Ayurveda. Yoga is the unification of the individual and the cosmic life. And this finds its fulfillment on the level of being, which is Atma, the absolute. The experience of Atma or transcendence is easily gained through the practice of transcendental meditation. Now, how is yoga defined? We see here some of the slokas from the Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali, who was also great Maharishi, great seer, Patanjali. And we can just go deep, not so deeply in it now. You can later on deepen the knowledge when you refer to those texts. Yoga is the transcending of the activity of the mind. Yoga chitti vritti nirodha, that means the state of yoga, unification, is reached when the mind has completely settled down to the state of being. And this is the state of the transcendence. Then the observer remains established in his own nature. And we know that ahimsa, non-violence, comes when we are established in this peace. And this non-violence can also be spread to the environment. Then the observer remains in his own nature established. The tendencies of the observer emerge from the self-referred state and remain here within the self-referred state. Atma alone, that state, the simplest form of awareness, alone is worthy of seeing, hearing, contemplating, and realizing. This is just quoting the ancient texts. Now, many people think today it's difficult to reach the state of pure consciousness, samadhi, and we know it's not transcendental meditation which gives everybody in a very easy, effortless way the experience of pure consciousness, is easy to learn, effortless in the practice, and this is what is experienced is the fourth state of consciousness, Surya. And when we look now the hierarchy of the Vedic technologies, you know, we have the physiology, the medicine, and then we have the organs, the systems, as we go deeper into creation, the tissues, the cells, the proteins, the RNA and the DNA. And the DNA is based, as we know from quantum physics, on the unified field of all the laws of nature. This is what modern science describes in quantum physics, the unified field. And the properties of the unified field, they are identical with the fourth state of consciousness, where we just rest within ourselves without thinking anything. And this is a very pleasant state of inner bliss and happiness. Now, we are living in a scientific age, and Maharishi encouraged to do research on the effects, on the benefits of the transcendental meditation and also Ayurveda. And one very clear indication for the increasing of inner restful alertness is measured in the brainwave coherence. So different parts of the brain usually have different activities. And when people start, just after 2 weeks of meditation, the alpha waves, indicating restful alertness, they are found in all parts of the brain. And when people meditate, we see in the middle of the chart, like 3 to 4 months, there is already more coherence. And when people meditate for more than 15 years, then all parts of the brain become coherent. So the development of consciousness is something that can be measured by the brainwave activities. Now, when we talk about psychological peace, the studies show here that the heart rate goes down, the skin resistance goes down, the stress hormones go down, and positive values increase. When we look at the physiological piece, this study was a very big study. It was actually done by the biggest health insurance company in America, Blue Shield Blue Cross. They have in one state 500,000 members, out of which 2,000 have been practicing transcendental meditation. And for a period of 5 years, they were comparing the costs, and what they found is that the diseases, like heart diseases, went down 87%, tumors by 56%. In overall, the savings, when people just practice TM twice a day, they close the eyes, they went down by average 50%. The next slide shows the psychological piece. This is a meta-analysis. There were 146 studies comparing the effect of different meditation techniques in reducing fear and anxiety. And it was found that transcendental meditation is the most effective meditation techniques to reduce the fear and anxiety. There are about 700 studies conducted on transcendental meditation in over 200 independent universities around the world, and they are collected in what we call the collected papers of scientific research. It's very impressive to look into these studies. Huge savings could be made in all countries in the healthcare system just by introducing this one approach of Maharishi Ayurveda. Now we go a little bit into the structure of collective consciousness. So we have first the individual consciousness, then we have the family consciousness. A city has a consciousness, you may feel it. When you go to a different country, it's a different feeling. We have the national consciousness and also the world consciousness, which is a sum total of all the consciousness of the people together. And it has been found that when the square root of 1% of a given population in a city or in a country is practicing transcendental meditation, that the crime rate goes down, the accidents go down. There are so many studies on that. And we can explain this phenomenon through quantum physics. We know there is a unified field of all the laws of nature, which is underlying all the force and matter fields, where everything in the universe is connected with everything else. This is how we can explain when some people or many people experience samadhi, inner bliss consciousness, that as it is stated by Patanjali, the negativity in the environment goes down. There are many studies that have been done in cities where it was shown when 1% is meditating that the crime rate is going down by about 10%. And in comparative studies for about 20 years, similar cities with the same numbers, the crime rate was rising in America. Only in the other cities where many people meditated, it was going down. And then it was found when many people practiced the advanced program in groups, we have organized many so-called world peace assemblies, that in the whole nation, the crime rate went down through the period of time. We had one conference like this with 8,000 advanced practitioners in the yogic flying, and we could see all over the world that war tendencies went down, even in Lebanon here. We saw in the Middle East, as the number of people increased practicing transcendental meditation, the violence was going down. We had an experiment in Washington, D.C. in 1994 with 4,000 participants, and we could see how the crime rate had developed. And just in that time, when they came together, the crime rate dropped by about 20%. In the next chart, you can see as the number of participants increased in the green dotted line from 500 participants to about 4,000. Like a scissor, you can see how the crime rate went down by 23%. And there are many studies that show that international conflicts can be reduced. There were studies conducted in America, in The Hague in Holland, in Washington, D.C. And the most recent study is a long-term study that was just published in a very prestigious peer-reviewed journal over 15 years that shows when we had in America a big group of advanced practices of transcendental meditation, all factors of social life, like murder and rape, they all went down. And when the group was dissolved, all these values unfortunately went up again. So this is one very important, I would say, inspiration for us to try to establish peace-creating groups all over the world. And these effects become even stronger when the peace yagyas are performed from Vedic Pandits who practice not only the yagyas, but who also practice transcendental meditation, because the yagyas become more powerful when they are performed from that infinite level of silence. So we have in the Brahmastan of India a big group, at the moment about 2,000 people, who practice every day the advanced programs of transcendental meditation and the Adi Rudra Abhishek with about 1,221 Pandits. You can see here also in Nepal, we are supporting 90 gurukuls with this program. And I must say, in Germany, we have founded 11 years ago a foundation, charity foundation for the promotion of Vedic culture, and we have supported this process here in Nepal, and we are very, very happy about it. Also, there are many schools around the world where people are practicing transcendental meditation, and the research really shows that in the vicinity of those groups, the quality of life improves. In Latin America, even some militaries are practicing transcendental meditation. There is a global union of scientists for peace. They're very renowned scientists, about 50, 60 scientists, who have made conferences like in Ukraine before the war started. And they announced it is not necessary for war to come. We just have to train the military or the schools in these wonderful programs. So if you'd like to know more about it, the conclusion is, in order to lead the world consciousness to more peace, we would need either about 80 million people who transcend every day twice, or we would need some groups, the square root of 1%, about 9,000 people, who together under one roof practice these programs as a profession. So this is what we need now, and the whole world is my family, as it is said in the Vedic scriptures, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, and I would like to invite you to really take this serious. We have immense problems in the world, and we feel here is a solution that can help. For this reason, I have here some websites, tm.org, or the Global Unions of Scientists for Peace, the GUSP.org, and also about the Vedic Pandit program, vedicpandits.org. Thank you so much for your attention. Namaste.